good evening, or perhaps good morning, depending on where you are. Wherever you may be, welcome. Tonight, we invite you to set aside the worries of the present, the to-do lists, the noise, the screens, and the pace of the modern world. Instead, allow yourself to drift gently into the past. This is Boring History for Sleep, where we explore forgotten corners of human experience, not with the drama of battle cries or the fanfare of empires, but with the quiet murmur of ordinary lives, distant cities, and curious customs, told in tones as soft as the turning of pages. Tonight, our journey begins in the marble and muck world of ancient Rome. Not the Rome of postcards and tourist maps, but the one that smelled of smoke, sweat, and stone. A world of crowded streets, public baths, bread queues, and chamber pots. In this episode, we will spend time imagining the rhythms of daily life in Rome, not as an emperor or senator, but as someone more ordinary. Then we'll trace the complex path of one of its most eloquent citizens, whose voice still echoes through legal halls and history books. After that, we'll explore a mystery that has puzzled historians for centuries: the sudden vanishing of an entire Roman legion. And finally, we'll slip behind the polished doors of a Roman villa to glimpse how the elite lived, loved, and loitered. So, find a comfortable position, let your breathing slow, and as the world around you dims, let us begin. Let us now turn our attention from the crowded alleys of common life to the marble colonnades and parchment-filled rooms of Roman politics. Not to an emperor or general, but to a man of words, carefully chosen, meticulously delivered, and sometimes dangerously sharp. Marcus Tullius Cicero. You may know the name, but tonight we will know the man. Not as a distant bust of stone, but as a lawyer, philosopher, politician, and citizen, always striving, often fearing, occasionally triumphing, and eventually falling. Born in 106 BCE, Cicero came from Arpinum, a town in the Italian countryside. He was not from Rome itself. He was not noble. He did not descend from kings, soldiers, or statesmen. His family were equites, the knightly class. Respectable, yes. Powerful, not yet. But Cicero had something that many others did not: ambition and a gift for language. Imagine him as a young man, hunched over scrolls, studying Greek and Latin rhetoric, practicing speech after speech. His voice not yet powerful, but trained, controlled, precise. He would not fight his way to power. He would argue his way there. His early legal victories came with flair. One of his first major cases was the defense of Sextus Roscius, a man accused of patricide, a serious and scandalous charge. Cicero won the case by cleverly implicating a powerful freedman connected to the dictator Sulla. It was a dangerous maneuver, but it marked him as bold and brilliant. He climbed the Roman political ladder, cursus honorum, with disciplined precision, quaestor, aedile, praetor, and eventually, in 63 BCE, consul, the highest office in the Republic. He had done it. A novus homo, a new man, without noble ancestry, had reached the pinnacle of Roman power, but with position came peril. During his consulship, Cicero uncovered what became known as the Catiline conspiracy, a plot, real or exaggerated, by the senator Catiline to overthrow the Republic through armed rebellion. Cicero gave impassioned speeches, the Catilinarian orations, denouncing Catiline in the Senate itself. He ordered several conspirators executed without trial. For this he was praised, and then later condemned. The Republic was already fraying, factions pulled at its core, the old guard and the populists, the Senate and the streets, the Republic and its future emperors. Cicero found himself caught in the middle. In 58 BCE, he was exiled, a punishment for his role in the executions. His properties were confiscated, his name smeared. He returned later, welcomed by some, tolerated by others. He tried to remain relevant, aligning briefly with Julius Caesar, then with Pompey. He wrote constantly, letters, treatises, orations. He admired the old republic, yet watched as it crumbled before him. When Caesar crossed the Rubicon in 49 BCE, civil war followed. Cicero hesitated, tried to stay neutral, then sided with Pompey, who lost. Caesar forgave him, but after Caesar's assassination, Cicero saw a new opportunity to restore the republic. He misjudged the moment. He gave a series of speeches, the Philippics, against Mark Antony, whom he saw as a threat to liberty. They were passionate, clever, merciless, but Antony was not moved by words. In 43 BCE, Cicero was declared an enemy of the state. As his assassins approached, Cicero did not run. He bared his neck. "There is nothing proper about what you are doing," he is reported to have said, "but do try to kill me properly." His hands and head were displayed in the forum, a grim message to those who wield words against those with armies. And yet, Cicero's voice endured. Through his letters, we know his private fears, frustrations, hopes, and philosophies. Through his speeches, we know his sharp wit and careful cadence. Through his essays, we know his love of reason, duty, and civic life. He was not a perfect man. He was vain, at times petty, often political. But in a world of swords and shadows, he chose syllables. He chose sentences, and long after the swords dulled and the shadows passed, his words still whisper across the centuries. Now we drift farther north, beyond the warm stones of Roman villas and the echo of Cicero's voice. We travel across the Alps, through Gaul, and into the mists of ancient Britannia. It is colder here. The air is damp with peat and pine. The land is dotted with marshes and shadowed woods. The people, tribal, proud, and often hostile to Roman rule. It is into this unsettled edge of the empire that we follow a quiet mystery. A question that has puzzled historians, novelists, and archaeologists alike for centuries. What happened to the 9th Legion? The Legionia Hispana, as it was officially known, was a veteran unit of the Roman army. It had marched across Europe, fought in Hispania, and helped conquer Britannia under Emperor Claudius. It was, by all accounts, a capable, disciplined force, hardened by battle, trusted by Rome, and then it vanished. The last undisputed record of the 9th Legion appears in the early 2nd century, around 108 CE. After that, there is silence. No grand obituary, no celebrated final campaign, just an absence. Some believe they were stationed in northern Britain, near what would become York, then known as Eboracum. It was a frontier region, tense and turbulent, populated by tribes like the Brigantes and the Caledonians. Rebellions were not uncommon. It is here, many argue, that the legion met its end. One theory holds that the 9th marched north in response to an uprising and was ambushed, wiped out. A slow, grinding disappearance in the bogs and woods of Caledonia. Not a single survivor, not a single report carried home. Just gone. It is a romantic idea, and a haunting one, but not all agree. Some records suggest that fragments of the 9th survived and were reassigned elsewhere. There are mentions, uncertain and debated, of the legion existing in the Rhine region or even in the east near Judea. Perhaps the unit was disbanded quietly after suffering heavy losses, its name retired in shame. Or perhaps it was merged with another legion, its identity lost in bureaucratic haze. There is, of course, a silence in archaeology too. In York, there are inscriptions bearing the 9th's name, tiles stamped with its symbol, and then nothing. Later, legions are stationed there, new tiles, new names, but no clear sign of the 9th's departure or demise. The mystery has endured precisely because of that silence, the absence of closure, the empty spaces where records should be, the quiet where history should have spoken. Modern excavations in Scotland and northern England have uncovered Roman forts, coins, and tools, but not the bones of a legion, not a battlefield, not the shattered remains of a lost army. So we are left with possibilities. Perhaps the ninth was destroyed in a rebellion, and its loss buried by an embarrassed Rome. Perhaps it continued to serve quietly elsewhere, its fate simply undocumented. Or perhaps, as some imagine, its men were scattered in the highlands, cut down in the damp heather, the mist swallowing their cries. Whatever the truth, the ninth became legend. Later stories, both fictional and scholarly, would resurrect them. Films would dramatize their final stand. Novels would reimagine their fate, but history stays quiet. And perhaps in that quiet, the ninth continues its final march, lost not only in the fog of war, but in the mists of time.